let's begin. We're on 10:04. Welcome everyone. Ahlan wa sahlan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very excited for this session today, which is titled How Universities Contribute to Both Local and Regional Economic Growth. This is part of a webinar series organized by the MENA Academic Hub, which is part of Catalyst 2030. Catalyst 2030 is a movement of social innovators, entrepreneurs all over the world, trying through systems change to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and beyond, to create a better world for the future. It is a member-driven movement, and academics and academia, research and data are very, very important. Please, as you join, share with us in the chat who you are, your name and organization and the role in the organization, where you're logging on from around the world, and what is your area of interest, so that we get to know our audience and we enjoy learning and sharing, and hopefully you'll become a continuous member of these activities and join Catalyst 2030 as a member in the future. We ask you to mute yourselves, put on your camera so we can see you if that's okay with you, so that we can, again, see each other. We need the social human interaction. Now, we have with us our agenda. If we can change to the next slide. Yeah, we have our panel today. I'm going to introduce them. We have with us Professor Ismael Al-Hinti, who is the president of AlHussein Technical University, a professor, a passionate educator, an entrepreneur, and a recognized energy expert. I'm proud to say I'm on his board of trustees. He combines 20 years of academic research and teaching experience with an exceptional industrial track record. So he kind of transitions different disciplines, both the industry and education and research and academia. In 2003, he joined the mechanical engineering department at Hashemite University, my university, and later served as head of the department. The success of the department level promoted Dr. Al-Hinti in 2007 to become the director for the Center for Academic Quality and Assurance at the same university. Besides his rich academic experience, Dr. Al-Hinti is also a renowned expert and national leader in the fields of energy management, energy auditing, measurement and verification, and renewable energy applications. He authored and co-authored 32 research papers in international energy journals and received several local and international awards and research grants. So welcome, Dr. Ismail. We also have with us Dr. Odeh Al-Jayyousi. Professor Al-Jayyousi is a global thinker, educator, author, and an international consultant in public policy, sustainable innovation, digital diplomacy, public sector innovation, and energy policy. He's an expert in technologies, in technological innovation, higher education, sustainable innovation, and smart cities. He has received many international awards in social innovation and excellence in CSR. He has a PhD in urban planning and policy from the University of Illinois at Chicago. He was a consultant with many international agencies, GTZ, USA, WB, World Bank, UN, UNU in water planning, environment, policy analysis, organizational development, youth leadership, and capacity building. So welcome to both our panelists. We had a third panelist with us who in the plan was supposed to join. However, there was a confusion, and I'll leave Debbie for full transparency to explain the confusion, because we're here to work together, and that's why, because people may have noticed that his name is not here today. So Debbie, do you want to give a brief explanation?
Yes. And apologies from the team at the Catalyst 2030. The map that we used for the event that's in the slide deck was used with a Moroccan country. That the map is an older map of the world, and unfortunately, it was the wrong map. We had been using that map with Social Change Innovators, which is an online portal that's part of Catalyst 2030, but it was started by myself and a group of academics. And back in 2018, the map actually has been completely taken down and fixed on the Catalyst website, but I personally did not know about it, nor did my team. So we did not update that map on our materials as well. So we apologize for the confusion and to our Moroccan friends, and we will make sure that we remedy that in the future. So just wanted to share that with everyone.
There we go. Thank you very much, Debbie. And please, anybody who has any comments, reflections, always feel free to share with us, because we're in this world together to make it a better place for the future. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite our first panelist, our speaker, Professor Ismael Al-Hinti, to share with us his insights on how can academia and universities contribute to both local and regional economic growth. So the floor is yours. You have around 9 minutes, and please just indicate when you want the slide to move. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rana. It's a pleasure to be with you today and to share some of the experience that we had at HTU, AlHussein Technical University. And just to explain, HTU is a very young university. We're only 8 years old, and it was established with a mission in mind to address the challenges that are facing youth in Jordan today. And to give you a bit of a context on Jordan and the region, in the Middle East, I think one of the main challenges that we've been facing for the past at least 2 decades is the high unemployment rates that we're witnessing in our countries. And these unemployment rates have been consistently the highest globally for the past 20 years. In Jordan, we haven't been successful in bringing down the unemployment rates below 20% for the past at least 25 years. This is, as you can imagine, this has been a challenge and seen as the main obstacle facing the country for quite a long time. So when we focus on HTU, if we try to understand how and why HTU was established, if we can move the slides, please. Okay. We started by asking the question, why? The why. We started with a very simple question. Why do people go to school? Why do people go to university? What do students want? What are they looking for? What their parents are expecting? And for us, it was important to address this question and to be honest about it. Today, we're very, very clear on the mission. If you ask anyone on campus at HTU, what is the mission of the university? They will give you one word and one word only, which is employability. So we're a technical university that embraces employability as the objective of education. And this clarity of mission is crucial in defining all the operations and all the focus of the university. And when I say crucial, I mean everything that we do at HTU has to feed in achieving this objective. And there is one KPI, overarching KPI, that we look at the university, which is the employment rate within the first 6 months of graduation. And it was from the very beginning, it was important to set the target really high. When I say really high, I mean 100%. And it's completely different from sitting at 90% or 95%. 100% means everyone at the university needs to be working to achieve this target, and we need to be serious about what we do on campus. We're not a comprehensive university, and this was a question that we tried to address from the beginning as well. We're a STEM-based university, and choosing STEM as a domain for the university programs did not come by coincidence. We tried to focus on the verticals where we see high potential in terms of job creation, in terms of economic growth, and opportunities for economic growth that need to be supported by providing the right talent for the university. Can we move to the next slide, please? And these verticals are all related to technology, to Industry 4.0. We only offer 9 programs at the university. I know that this might sound, you know, quite a low number of programs being offered at the university, but this has been helping us in focusing on what we do, and in creating an ecosystem where everyone around the university speaks the same language. Next slide, please. So the question today is, how do we do it? And why HTU has been successful in meeting a 100% employment rate, while other universities have not been successful or as successful in such a target. First of all, we had to focus more on redefining the philosophy of teaching and learning and how we approach qualifications versus degrees. Today, we speak about qualifications, and we're trying to focus less on the degrees part of the programs that we offer. And this is why we made it through defining a very flexible learning journey at HTU, where there are multiple exits, and each exit serves as a re-entry point into the journey. So a student can simply join HTU, leave after 2 years with a qualification, can work for some time, can come back again, leave at the second exit with a qualification, another qualification, and then come back and do another year and leave with a bachelor degree. So we don't offer graduate programs, but we offer a number of qualifications within that are in line with the national qualifications framework that has been adopted in Jordan. And we made it as flexible as it could be for the student to come in and get out and get some work and then come back at the university and define the pace at which he or she would like to proceed with the learning journey. Next slide, please. And we tried to come up with a new focus for the teaching and learning philosophy at HTU. When we say that we're trying to prepare students for the future, trying to prepare them for their careers, this is a big statement, and being successful at this mission can raise lots of questions. One of these questions was, what do we teach students? We're honest with ourselves and with our students, and we say that we cannot really teach our students everything that they're going to learn, that they're going to need for the next, say, 10 or 15 years through their careers. And this is why we try to focus more on creating active learners who are capable of pursuing their learning independently and for life. And this is something that shifts the whole mindset of the faculty members and of everyone on campus, that we're trying to focus not on delivering content, but rather delivering learning that leads to clear outcomes. And the student has to show evidence that he mastered these learning outcomes through working on projects that are reflecting real life scenarios. So I can proudly say that we're the university in the Middle East with the least number of time-constrained exams and with the least number of paper-based exams. If you ask a typical student at HTU, how many exams have you done over the past, say, 3 years? They would tell you probably 3 or 4, but they would tell you that they have quite a good portfolio of lots of projects on different domains and different topics that they have covered through the university. Next slide, please. Also, we quite often in universities, we tend to focus on knowledge acquisition. And this was the main mission of the universities, to advance knowledge. Today, we understand if we embrace employability as the objective of education at the university, at a technical university, then we need to listen to the employers and what do they say and what they're looking for. And this is why with the shift on the focus on shift of focus on skills development, we try to strike a fine balance between knowledge acquisition on one hand and skills development on the other hand. So we work really hard with the students from day one on advancing their practical technical skills, their soft skills, their coding skills, their English language skills and other languages as well, their management, leadership, and of course, the innovation and entrepreneurial skills that we deem necessary today for them to be globally competitive. Next slide, please. And of course, we cannot do all of this, and we cannot excel in what we do without true partnership with the industry. Today, we're proud to say that we have managed to build a growing network of industry partners that includes at least 250 different companies in Jordan. And why do we need such a big number of partners for a relatively small university? Is because they have a critical role in defining what do we teach at HTU, and also in delivering what we the courses that we teach at HTU. And I'll come to this in a minute. But each and every student at HTU has to do an 8-month apprenticeship experience with one of our partners. So for 2 full semesters, the students leave the university, work as full-time employees, and this is accounted as part of their learning at the university. So it's a work-integrated learning, and it's accredited as part of the curriculum. And we have created an agile process for curriculum review. So you would expect the curriculum to be as fluid as it could be at HTU. We could be changing or injecting changes within courses on a continuous basis, simply sometimes every semester. Next
Professor
slide,
Ismail, you have can you try to wrap up? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. We also managed to integrate lots of professional certificates within the curriculum, and we have established so many labs in partnership with the industry partners. And these labs, in most instances, are run also in partnership with our partners. And we have also integrated, and this is very important, in my opinion, we have integrated so many practitioners within the faculty body. So those who teach at the university are not necessarily PhD holders, nor even like master's degree holders, but they have to have a real contribution and rich experience to share with our learners. Next slide, please. And most importantly, we focused on creating an immersive, high-quality, tech-enabled learning environment. If you come to HTU, On any given day, you will find something happening there, a competition, a hackathon, a student club activity, voluntary work initiative, technology fairs, guest speakers. This is in my opinion, the edge that universities today will continue to have if they focus on creating this environment. Final slide, please. And we always say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. We focused on creating this culture of collaboration, empowerment, innovation, responsibility, and excellence. And I think anyone who visits HTU today will notice this. And this is what is making our students more ready than others in meeting the expectations of the industry. And this is what is really making our students achieving the 100% employment rate within the first 6 months of graduation. I hope I gave you some holistic perspective on the mission of HTU, how it is aligned to the overall context in Jordan, and how we're addressing the major and the most pressing challenge that we have in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Ismail, for giving us this overview of your university. I'm sure we will continue the discussion later in the panel, and hopefully people will pick it up in their breakout rooms, and to distill what are the lessons distilled from your experience that can be shared. But now let's go to Professor Odeh Al-Jayyousi, Professor of Innovation Policy. The floor is yours. You have 9 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you are at. I'm pleased to contribute to this discussion or dialogue, if you wish, on the future or how universities can contribute to economic growth. I'll start by a critical comment by saying, well, I was wondering why the title says economic growth rather than economic development. I'm critical of what I call the factory model of university that was after Second World War, that basically universities are here to produce workers in this factory model or Western view of a university. However, I think the Middle East, MENA region, was shaped by two forces in terms of delivery of higher education. One force was basically a public sector-driven paradigm. And the second model was basically decentralized, private sector-led, especially in Lebanon and Palestine. That's why we witness a lot of high ratio of enrollment in higher education in both countries, in Palestine and Lebanon, which is, they were basically part of away from the government-led model. And anyway, I believe that we need to rethink the mandate and the mission for universities in MENA region to have more authentic and local mandate. Now, what I can see in many universities in the MENA region, we are following what we call the Eurocentric worldview of universities, whether either it's a factory model or it's basically focusing on quality assurance, like in North Africa, in order to have access to the work market in Europe. So again, it's about social mobility. The other dimension is about globalization or internationalization of universities, which focuses on massification, diversification, and privatization. So now the university is not about, it moved from the main notion of nation building to the idea of a market driven. So the KPIs now became, it's about a factor, it's about basically a firm like model. I believe now historically, when you look back in hindsight at the Islamic civilization model of a university, because university is driven from a universe, it has to be holistic, And the idea is not about to produce a worker for a factory or a farm or a knowledge worker, but rather it was to provide a critical mind to critique public policy, to provide a critical thinker, a reflective practitioner who can critique the performance of public officials. So I think the idea of a university as a think tank, as a critical entity that is that produces reflection on the performance of public sector is a critical. And we are losing that. Now we are looking what I enjoyed Professor Hinti presentation, which is focusing basically in a European, strictly a European non-authentic model of a university, which is basically just to have a KPIs to employ people. But again, beyond employment, what's needed is the value creation. How we can produce a free thinker who's able to critique the people who are in power. How we can say truth to power and not rather to be a worker in the lower part of the pyramid. So now I'll share my thoughts about Arabian Gulf University in Bahrain, which was founded 40 years ago in 1980. The vision was, it was designed by visionary thinkers in the MENA region, where they thought now, since there is an economic bloc, so the world is going into economic blocs in Asia, the Tigers, the BRICS, the G20. So GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, they wanted to have a regional research university. So Bahrain was chosen to be as a model for a regional research university. So basically, we don't have undergraduate school. We have only research graduate schools, except for medical school, which is based on problem-based learning as a unique model. But basically, we offer graduate programs in technology management, innovation, gifted education, and special education, and biotechnology, and we call WIF, or the water, energy, food security. So we focus on, at that time in the 80s, the emerging technology in the 80s. So people thought of GIS, informatics, energy, water, technology management, and education. Now we are at a process of rethinking the model and thinking, okay, what's beyond 2030, 2040? What can we think of a regional university? What does it mean to have a regional university? So we see ourselves, we are not competing with KAUST or KISR or KAXT or any other regional university or Qatar or Dubai. What's needed is these islands of excellence in the GCC or in the MENA region, how we can have a platform, a bridge builder, a facilitator for knowledge co-creation, for knowledge synthesis, or for cross-fertilization of knowledge. What's lacking in the Arab world is that we do not have a critical mass of thinkers, of research institutions, of R&D infrastructure or ecosystem in order to produce a tipping point. What's lacking is this: we have a lot of islands, small islands in MENA region for excellence, whether it's energy, water, or nanotechnology. What's lacking, how can we have our own, what we call it, mission-oriented innovation policy? So we do not want to follow Harvard or Cambridge, but rather what we want to do is to establish our own path. So what's needed in order to alleviate poverty or to build cities in Baghdad or Yemen or Gaza? What's needed, what's new programs are needed to address the poverty in Yemen or Sudan or governance models in MENA region? So I think we are still following the Western model that we need to have our own soul searching exercise to identify our own narrative, our own story of the future that is based on authentic and indigenous knowledge. Since we have the first Islamic universities in North Africa, in Tunisia and Egypt. So talking back to AGU, Arabian Gulf University was founded 40 years ago as a regional university to focus on energy, water, and innovation management. I head the PhD program in innovation management. And we have partnership with Germany, with Europe, and many other countries. But we see ourselves as a think tank in order to establish what we call a policy or a platform for knowledge synthesis in terms of policy. If I want to talk about energy transition, I cannot work in energy transition without looking at the entire landscape of MENA region and try to see the niche for each university in order to make a breakthrough. In terms of the research agenda, we focus on lots of regional cooperation with different Gulf countries, focusing on the marine environment, desertification, and biotechnology, with collaboration with the industry and key industries in the GCC. However, still the idea, the paradox that we have, still the Arabic mind, if we look at the construction of the Arabic mind, still the regional thinking like Europe, EU model, or Asia is lacking. Still, we are plagued with the nation-state mindset. And this mosaic of small countries like Yemen, Oman, or any small country, there is no critical mass in order to provide a regional model for education or security, water security, or if you talk about water, energy, or food security. You need to have a critical mass of space and time, geography, and resources in order to create a tipping point. So I think it's crucial for the MENA region to create a new model of university that can harness the collaboration, the idea of network of networks for resources, intellectual capital, the social capital, and the institutional capital in order to create a new pathway for a regional university in the MENA region. I believe having a critical mass is critical, and however we focus our students to be a global citizen. We have lots of internships, and I also manage a MBA program in Singapore, and in a part of our AGU program, I am heading an MBA program in collaboration with top universities in France. And we focus on internship in Singapore and France. But however, what's lacking is how we can have our own narrative and our own model of a university that is transforming the current, I would say, Western model of factory model, or what do you call it, Americanized model of universities that is based on the idea of market-led model. I'll stop here. I'll leave the rest for the questions. Dr. Rana, tfaddali.
Thank you very much, Professor Odeh, for your presentation. You have challenged us with your thoughts and making us rethink a lot of things, which is very, very important, actually. And the question is it either or how do we do both? The model that Professor Ismael presented versus the model that you're talking about, and how do we connect both? And I think this is going to be part of our discussion now as we go forward. So let's go to our discussion. And maybe, yes, we had a set of questions that we had prepared. But for me, before I go to the set questions, I'm going to jump off of what was discussed by Professor Odeh. And the question actually is for you, Professor Ismael, to hear your thoughts on and your reflections on what Professor Odeh actually talked about. I'm not going to comment. I want to hear from you directly. What are your thoughts on his presentation?
Well, I think we're talking about completely different models here, and I don't think that adopting or moving in with one of these models contradicts with moving with the other model. I think there is room, and we need definitely different types of universities and different philosophies for universities. To us, I think we're at HTU, we're very, very pragmatic. I don't see any problem in having a market-driven or a demand-driven program or university. On the contrary, I think this is one of the issues that most Arab countries or most Arab universities or universities in the region have failed in achieving. I think in the two models, if we lose focus, I don't think we're going to achieve anything. The dilemma that I found in most universities in our region is the lack of focus, and that we're trying to do everything. We're trying to advance knowledge. We're trying to address unemployment. We're trying to mix this model and that model. And at HTU, we're very clear. I'm not saying that this is the one and only model that we have to adopt, but definitely this is the model that we need to see more of in our countries, which is focusing on employability as an objective, as the objective of education. And this is why people are sending their kids to school. This is why people are sending their kids to universities in our region. Dr. Odeh, if you ask any parent, why are you sending your son or your daughter to a university? I think 90% of people are going to say so that they can build a successful and decent career. Very simple.
So jumping off of that, I think I want to interject. I just came back from Tunis last week from the UNESCO, which is the UNESCO of the Arab world. It was a meeting on how do we integrate innovation in higher education, in the Arab world in particular. And one of the things that was brought up, which is, first of all, like what, as you said, Dr. Odeh, that we need an underlying philosophy that can guide us and drive us on where to go in a framework that caters to our needs and not necessarily to, let's say, the global needs. Because if you don't fix your house from the inside, you can't help your neighbors from the outside. So my question is there a way we can integrate both? So for example, yes, students want employability, they want to live, they have to eat, they have to, provide for themselves. But at the same time, to have some kind of education for them to understand the bigger picture at the same time, so in parallel. And at the same time, also some students are willing and have interest and are curious to dig deeper into what the issues that you, Dr. Odeh, were speaking. It's not that everybody's going to reach that same level, let's say, of expertise and competence, but to have enough to get to your tipping point. So the question is, maybe back to Dr. Ismael, do you at your university, are you having that across the board education on philosophy, understanding the bigger picture? And then if students want to dig deeper, is such an opportunity available? So to you, Dr. Ismael, and then I'll come back to you, Dr. Odeh.
So should I go first?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I think if you look at the spectrum of people who join universities, you will find that 95% of people who join universities, they're joining university for one simple reason, is that they want to have a decent and they want to lead a decent life. And we have to cater for this. And we have to be very pragmatic about how we can help people achieve this goal in the shortest period of time and at the lowest cost that we can have. Now, there is the 5 to 10% of people who are interested in doing research, in advancing knowledge and so on. And this is what the model that Dr. Odeh has introduced should cater for. Again, I'm not against, and I'm not with one model against the other model. I don't see a contradiction between them, but we cannot really expect the whole population of young people to be moving in one direction or the other. As I said in the very beginning, I think we need different models, and these models, we need to see them integrating in achieving global and local development.
Thank you. So thank you very much. Dr. Odeh, maybe for you to respond to this, but maybe to prompt you, how do we develop a pipeline for students who enter the university like HTU to find a path of developing a framework that is not Western, that caters to local needs? How would you advise if you were to redesign something? The floor is yours.
Well, I think part of the challenge is that we are not listening to the audience. We are not seeing the big elephant in the room. At the end of the day, you need to look at the local people. Solutions can come from local people. If I want to develop food security in Jordan, I need to look exactly what we do. You use grounded theory. We use phenomenology. We go to and talk to the people and try to understand the sociology of local development in Jordan or in Yemen or in Sudan. It's very paradoxical to see that Yemen and Sudan or Syria are the richest people in natural resources, and still they suffer from poverty because we are not able to develop our own local development model. That's why I critique. I have a comment on the title of the session. It's not about local growth, regional growth. It should be regional development, because growth for the sake of a growth is like cancer. Basically, you make things bigger for the sake of growth. Development is about making things better. And that's why now people talk about decoupling consumption from development, the idea of decoupling or circular economy. But this is beyond the discussion. I believe what's needed is to look at the why, not the what. In many cases, we are just going for a solution. I need technicians. I need people to do electrical cars, to fix cars. So we are producing technicians. I think now we're at a stage of nation building or civilization. We need new thinkers to build nations. And this means that you need high level, we call it metacognitive capabilities. So we don't need just operators for the train. We need to ask people, why do we need to build a train? For regional integration, for identity, for sovereignty, and for legitimacy. These big ideas and big questions are being absent from higher education. So I don't want higher education to be a factory model just to produce operators, but rather to produce thinkers to look about why, not the what.
Thank you very much, Professor Odeh. I'm not going to comment. This is a very rich and interesting conversation. We're going to go to breakout rooms now. We have 8 minutes. People in the breakout rooms, we urge you to introduce yourselves to each other. What successful examples you have of both models? What are your comments on this discussion? And what specific programs do you know that are having an impact in this field that you would like to share? So we're off to breakout rooms, and then we'll come back for people to share what they've discussed, and then we will wrap up. Thank you very much. And our panelists, you can join. Yeah, perfect. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the breakout session. You learned from each other, you inspired each other. So maybe we'll have a quick briefing from each group. I don't know how many breakout rooms there were, but if we had 4. Okay, so if everybody would take a minute to kind of give us what stood out in the breakout room. You don't summarize because probably there's a lot of repetition, but just what stood out. And who would like to go? Maybe breakout room 1, who would like to share what stood out for them in the breakout room?
I nominate Dr. Saliha. Maybe Saliha can.
Okay, Saliha, go ahead.
Professor Odeh is very kind, and he put me on the spot. No, basically, what stood out was that he and we have so many concepts alike, we think alike, and we can develop something broader and greater for the region and for humanity as a whole. And so we're going to collaborate.
Oh, excellent,
and share.
Excellent.
Yes, we're going to collaborate and share, and I mean, you know, we think alike. What more can I say?
Great, excellent. All right, next group. People can just quickly just volunteer and unmute and share.
I was in room 3, and I think Pradeep, if you would like to share.
It's better to listen from you. I expect to listen from you, please.
No, I think I talked enough in this session. Please, Pradeep, go ahead.
This is a very interactive, and it's although it's very small and brief session, I think we shared good emotions. What are the beyond curriculum and what are the other manifestations? How this university can take forward for this nation building as well as personal building. So now it is gross gap. So that is, we shared a little bit more, and it's how this human value, cultural value, and emotion, and its neighborhood, livelihood, it is a great gap in the universities, and it's now it is universities have become one of this business hub, except personal emotion building. So that is, I think it's a very lively we have shared, and we came to conclusion that this should be the part of this curriculum also.
Thank you very much. All right, and who can share from the next group? Thank you very much.
Professor, you can add it something that if I have left something, please.
Yes. All right.
No, you did a great job.
All right, let's go because of time to the next group. Who would like to? Do we have the third and fourth group of the people, our attendees? Well, if we don't, because we're running out of time, let's go to wrap up. I want to thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for our panelists for making us think and think outside the box, expand our horizons, challenge our assumptions. And because of that, we invite you to join the MENA Academic Hub so that we can continue these conversations beyond. Of course, 1 hour is not enough to discuss and solve these problems. So we invite you to join. And you can reach out via email later if you want. And we have some things in the chat. If we go to the next slide, we also have, you can scan it so you're part of the WhatsApp group, which is even closer than an email or an announcement. But on WhatsApp, you get up to date, the latest what's happening. So we give you some time to scan that. And then we have the Social Change Innovators, SCI, which is an open source platform of knowledge resources where you can put teaching plans, syllabus, references, literature, articles from academic to public, so that we have a repository that we can use. Especially we want it in Arabic, if there's anything out there in Arabic, because most of the literature is in English. That doesn't mean it's not present in Arabic. It is. We just want to put them in one place so we can all benefit together and learn from each other. The next slide, please. We also have, Catalyst has a Medium series on the Medium, and we invite you to contribute. I wrote an article. Here we have the latest article, The Collective Power of Selfishness. So if Professor Odeh or Professor Hinti or our audience, if somebody would like to contribute, to write an article to discuss these issues that were brought up, we invite you to submit an article. It's really short, a few hundred words. We can help in editing. But we're looking for articles that show impact, articles that challenge the way we think. So we invite you to contribute to that. And this is the upcoming Academic Hub sessions and learning series. Stay tuned. If you join the WhatsApp, you'll get alerts, or through the email list as well, to the next ones coming, one from the European Academic Hub and from the other social impact education series. We have a poll, so we get your feedback before you leave. So please submit the poll. But as we end, we're already over 1 minute, but we just want to ask another minute of your time. I'd like Professor Odeh and Professor Hinti to give us one last piece of advice, 30 seconds each. Professor Hinti and then Professor Odeh.
This needs to be very quick. I think something that was in common between what I presented and what Dr. Odeh presented is that despite that we're preaching different models basically of universities, but I think the main point is that we need to ask the why question. Why do we do this? And I think we need to listen to people, and we have to be honest with ourselves in searching for an answer. And when we understand why, then we can address this why question in a meaningful manner that will be critical in addressing, you know, development questions.
Thank you. Wonderful. Professor Odeh.
Thank you. I think I believe we when we talk about foresight, we develop what we call causal layered analysis. We look at the world in four layers. And one of the layers is about word views and metaphors. So we live by metaphors. The metaphors we live by, shall we look at university as a ship or as a bridge? So depending on the metaphor of a university or a school, is it a ship or is it a bridge? It basically shapes the entire narrative or images of the future of who we are and what do we stand for and what is our role as educators, as change agents, as catalysts for change. But I think what matters is that we do not count. I think we need to think of future generations. What type of value creation can we add to the future generation in terms of searching for a new meaning, who we are and what do we stand for, and how can we contribute to end the sufferings of people who are deprived in the MENA region, especially in Palestine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is amazing to end on this tone and on this note. And I want to thank my panelists, thank Catalyst 2030, thank all the audience for being here with us. I look forward for you to joining. And I hope you have thoughts to reflect on, have discussions with your peers, wherever you are in the world, whatever sector you are, whatever discipline. But definitely, for me, the lesson is we need to do a lot more communication, a lot more collaboration, a lot more discussions, honest discussions, as Professor Hinti said, to listen and develop trust between us. And as Professor Odeh said, we need everybody. We need all the different types of thinking. We need that diversity to push us forward and to think of different metaphors. And we'll leave you with that. Is education in the university a ship or a bridge? Interesting. On that note, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Take care. Inshallah, we will meet in better times where Palestine will be free, inshallah.
Inshallah. Ameen. Ameen.
Thank you. Thank you for the good work, spirit. Bye-bye.